Right, and welcome. Here I am. The time is 4:05 and I've been trying to do a welcome to the bank intro for the last hour, but every time I do, something happens. I get a couple of bleeps and stop and forget about what I was doing, or I find myself just rambling on about nothing, or a motorbike goes past, or a plane goes past, or I end up burping, or I think, oh, I'm going to make myself a cup of tea, and it's just been all gone wrong. It's all gone wrong now, everything's gone wrong. But I'm buzzing. I'm over Churchgate Lakes, and I'm on the bottom lake, and I'm doing a night. I've never done a night on this bottom lake at all. I can't tell you why, I just never have. I've always got here thinking, do you know what, I'm going to do a night on the bottom lake. I'm going to get over there, and I'm going to see if I can pull out some of them bigger fish. And I end up going on the top lake. Probably because it's easier, and there's bigger fish in there. And yeah, that is probably the only reason. You know, there's a lot of smaller fish in this bottom lake, and I've been hounded by them before. I've come over here for a day and had 20 fish, and the biggest has been about £7. Cracking day's fishing, won't knock it. Absolutely love catching any size carp, but I've always fancied going to the top lake and thinking, yeah, I really fancy catching one of them bigger ones in there. So I was at home today and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to go fishing. The missus is asleep, she's got a night shift on, and I'm going to go fishing. I thought about the Syndicate, but I didn't want to get over there, set up and have to pack up early in the morning and do what everybody has to do on a Monday morning, that horrible dreaded drive to work. I thought, do you know what, I'm going to go over Churchgate Lake, and I'm actually going to do what I keep promising myself to do, and I'm going to fish the night on the bottom lake. And I'm actually here, it's now 4:05. I've managed to sort out what I wanted to talk to you about. I'm on the bottom lake, the rods are in the water, the bivvy's up, the bed chair's sorted, and I am doing a night on the bottom lake, and I'm buzzing about it. There is some cracking fish in here to be had, and I've seen some of them. My old man's had 2 20s out of here. My mate Jim Woodley and his son have had 20s out of here. I was over here, I think, last year, and there was a boy, an old boy over there, and he had 2 20s out on a float rod. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to do it. And I didn't. And I kept on doing it, and I kept on coming over here, and I kept on not doing the night. Every time I kept jumping on the members lake, every time I kept jumping on the top lake, and I thought, do you know, I'm actually going to do it. And I'm here, and I am set up, and I am on the bottom lake, and I can't wait to see if I can land one of the big fish that are out of here. I've got one rod set up purely for big fishing. I've got a big size 6 hook on. I've got an 18mm bait, also topped off with a 10mm pop-up, so that is a big bait for a walk with a lot of smaller fishing. I've had a few knocks on it, the swinger's popped up a couple of inches and dropped down again, and that is purely for big carp fishing on this lake anyway. Any other lake in England like France, and that would probably catch a small fish, but their small fish over in France are £30 anyway. But I've got that set up out there mid-water with a big 18mm topped off with a 10mm pop-up, and I'm actually using the new bait from SPECIMEN carp baits, Ocean Fresh. Look at that lot, there's 4 key in now. I've been glugging that up now for about 2 days with their attractor, and this is Ocean Fresh, and it is krill and tuna, and it absolutely stinks. I bought it purposely for the Syndicate Lake because I want to fish this year with big baits over there. A lot of tuna, a lot of krill, a lot of pellets, trout pellet, halibut pellet, and a lot of hemp. That's the idea, get the fish rooting around in the weed, clearing me some nice spots in the weed, and hopefully catching some of them cracking fish. So I brought it with me to see if I can entice one of the bigger fish out of this lake, and hopefully it will work. If it doesn't, it doesn't matter, but I know it works. I've got full confidence in SPECIMEN carp baits, so without further ado, what I'm going to do is show you some of their gear that I've got off of them. Now, I've got their Ocean Fresh bait glug, PVA friendly. It's 250mm in here, and it absolutely stinks. It's really thick oily, and I tell you what, I opened this up in the house the other day, and my girlfriend and my mum basically sat there, looked at me and said, you are one sick person, you need mental help. It stinks, and it stinks proper nice. krill and tuna. That there is going to be basically used when I've got a pop-up on and I'm using a little PVA stick. I'll just stick it in there, leave it for 5 minutes. The PVA stick soaks up some of the glug, cast it out there, and it does exactly what I expect it to do. Sits on the bottom, breaks up, oil starts dispersing through the layers of water, and the fish just basically come in home on in it. And hopefully I can show you in a year what that's like and show you some of the devastating effects that it can do. I've also ordered some of their ocean fresh juicy hooker baits. These are dumbbell shaped, and as you can see there is loads of juices in there. I'll be using these later on this afternoon, getting it out there and showing you hopefully that it works. And again, this absolutely stinks, but it's proper nice. I've also got their 14mm pop-ups. Now I've been using Specimen Carp pop-ups for 2 years. They're washed out pinks, they're whites, and devastating effect. I've always caught pretty much with them all the time, and these proper smell as well. No way near as bad as the oily glugs, but you can definitely smell that there's tuna, and you can definitely smell that there's krill in there. And I've also got their PVA friendly attractor. Now this comes full up to here, this bottle. You don't get scrimped down here, it comes right full, and that is basically what I've put over 4 kilos of bait over 3 days, and just basically been turning the bait and getting the bait really to soak in this attractor. I've done it all for the Syndicate lake, but I thought, you know what, it's Sunday afternoon, the missus is asleep, she's doing a night shift, I'm going to get over Churchgate lake and I'm going to see if I can get myself one of these 20s out of the lake. So welcome to the Churchgate 20s quest. I've had them out the members lake, I've had them out the top lake, but as yet I've not had them out of here. So I'm going to be doing a few short sessions over here, quick overnighters every now and then on this bottom lake. I'm going to completely leave the top lake alone, I'm going to completely leave the members lake alone, and I'm going to be fishing little short sessions, afternoons, a couple of hours here and there after work on a Friday and stuff like that, or on a Saturday morning before I've got to go things to do. And I'm going to be concentrating on basically doing the quest for a Churchgate bottom 20. Hopefully I'll have one today. That will be absolutely fantastic, but if I don't, it doesn't matter. I've got big baits on for big fish on a water that's got a lot of small fish on, so I don't expect loads and loads of bites. People that know this complex know you can come over here, you can put a little PVA bag on a little pink washed out pop-up or a little 14mm bait, and within 20 minutes you've got a rod ripping off. Double takes, treble takes. I've sat here and my old man's had a ripping take. Whilst I've been landing it, I've had a take, my mate's had a take, and another geezer's had a take. This is a prolific water for lots of takes at the right time, and hopefully I can show you that throughout the year. But as it is for now, I've got one rod out there with a big bait on for big fish, and I've got one rod out there in the margins over a bed of hemp, bed of pellet and a smaller bait, and that is purely just a pleasure rod. Hopefully catch anything that comes along and picks up that bait to show you guys on the camera, give me something to do whilst I'm here for the next 12 hours doing a quick overnighter on the bottom lake, and I'm absolutely buzzing about it. I'm going to get the kettle on, make myself a cup of tea, have a jam and peanut butter sandwich. Whilst I do that, enjoy some of the scenery. Talk to you guys soon. And yeah, buzzing. First session ever on the bottom lake where I'm doing a night, and start of a new sort of series of vlogs, the quest for a Churchgate bottom 20. Let's see if we can do it first time. If not, there's always going to be next time. Talk to you guys soon. Well, as you can see, I don't think it's going to be a quiet night. Them geese absolutely going Garrity. It's becoming part of mating season now. Obviously the weather's warming up, they're all getting fruity. I've had them fly a minute ago straight in front of me rods, and I actually cringed and thought they were going to land in me rods. Luckily enough, just as I stood up, they see me, and a little movement of their tail was about 6 inches away from crashing into the tip of my rods. So yeah, noisy little buggers, destructive little buggers. But whilst they're doing that, making all the noise and stuff like that, it makes it a little bit easier for me to move around on my swim and talk to you guys without worrying about too much disturbance to the margin rod down there. So nothing's happened. It's been a good sort of hour now. It's now what? It's nearly 5 to 5, so it's been a good hour since I last spoke to you. And I've had a couple of little bleeps on the right hand rod, a couple of little bleeps on the left hand rod. I actually pulled the left hand rod in and I've took off the white pop up and just put on a tiny weeny little bit of yellow corn. So I've now got an 18mm topped up with a little bit of yellow corn. Slightly easier to get into the smaller carp's mouths. I've cast out probably another, or catapulted out probably another 15 boilies, and that's it now. I'm going to basically leave that where it is all night long. Well, say all night long, maybe give it another hour or so. I might recast it again and maybe put a tiny weeny little PVA stick mix with it or something, just crushed up, dipped in that glug, see if we can entice some of the carp in. I've also been informed there was a match on here today, it ended at 12:30, so you know, there's going to be a lot of bait, probably poles length out and stuff like that, so I'm quite glad now I put a bit of bait in that margin area down there, because a lot of the match anglers, what they do is the rest of the bait they sort of just throw in the margins. So hopefully if some of them are using sweet corn and maggots with what I've got down there, the carp will just think, well, that's natural, normal, we always get it. So you know, could be a bit of luck my side there, or I may have overfed it this time of year, where I've put like 6 or 7 handfuls of hemp out there, 6 or 7 handfuls of pellet and about 2 handfuls of boilies. It might have overfed it. The only way to know is to wake up in the morning, and if I've still not had anything, well then we know that the game plan didn't work. But so as it is right now, I'm just sitting here chillaxing. The sun's starting to go down, it's starting to drop in temperature, tips of my fingers are getting cold, and the geese are just getting more and more louder. So what I'm going to do is take my boots off, slip myself in the sleeping bag and just lay down basically and just watch part of the water that I can see. So for now I'll talk to you guys a little bit later, and yeah, hopefully we'll have a fish on the bank before I have to pack up in the morning. So if you don't hear or see of anything of me now, obviously it's because I didn't catch anything and I've gone home. But if you do see more of me, then obviously means that I've got something else to tell you, or I've managed to land one. But I say it's going to be short little vlogs, only, you know, 15 minutes long when I'm over here, and you know, hopefully there'll be plenty of fish in the summer, slightly harder in the winter, but definitely worth being out on the bank no matter what the weather. So talk to you guys soon, and yeah, hopefully we'll have a fish. See you in a bit. Right, well it's 5:05, not only 5 minutes after I turn the camera off to you, that the right hand rod that is in the margins absolutely ripped off. And when I mean ripped off, I mean ripped off. Tip of the rod was bent right round, it was absolutely peeling line off, and I've been rewarded. Oh. Hello. Well, as you can see there from a cracking little mirror, but for some reason over here they fight like a buggery in this bottom lake, absolutely going mental right in front of the rod, and then you get them in the net, and then you get them in the sling, and then they fight again. So let's see if I can hold this one up for you. Definitely a double figure. I'm gonna weigh her in a minute, and whilst I was playing this, or got it in the net and was just sorting out the camera and letting her rest in the water for a couple of minutes, the left hand rod as well hit the clip, tip of the rod bent over. When I pulled into it, it felt all grainy and graty, and then it just come back free. So I definitely think there's a fish trailing line in here. So hopefully that will get caught soon and someone can pull the line off of it. But let's try and hold this up again. There you go. Definitely a double figure. We'll weigh it and let you know exactly what it is. But for a quick 24 hour, or for a quick overnight session like I'm doing, carp like this are more than welcome to grace the bank all night long. Absolutely cracking. Caught on a specimen, carp baits, little washed out pink pop-ups. always doing me proud. And so after a slight recast and then talking to you guys on the camera, it ripped off. Wasn't in the water no longer than 5 minutes after the recast, but well worth it. Let's weigh this one, slip it back, and get the rod back out on the mark. Talk to you soon. Right, let's talk about the rig I just had that fish on. We start with the not so important part, but still quite important, but it's not actual hook or the hook setup, it's the leader. This is a Nash diffusion leader. I've got 1.5 metre of one of it onto a Nash diffusion clip. I've not pushed it all the way home. It's not weedy in here, but if I do get snagged up or anything like that, I still want the fish to be able to shake its head, hopefully, and reject the lead. So it's just on the clip there, and then of course the fish shakes its head, that pops off, lead's gone. Unfortunately, there's still people that literally fish snaggy waters and non-weedy waters and then push this tail rubber all the way home like that, and there is no way that the carp is shaking that off. It does happen, you know, it only takes one snag for that fish to home in on your line, snap, and there's a fish trailing around lead. So I always have my lead clips just about there, just in case, because there always is a snag, as you can see. Obviously got a 2 ounce flat pear lead on there, go on to a normal swivel with a big O-ring, and we pop onto a quick link with a little bit of silicone tubing just to cover everything up and make it nice and neat. So that's the not so important part. Now the important part of the rig. The actual material I'm using is the PSE. Never heard it before. Was looking on eBay at some hook link and come across this. Nice and cheap, £7.49. So I thought, do you know what? I'll give it a go. It's caught me a few fish, and I'm actually quite impressed with it. It's called G-Slip. It's 20 metres at £20. It's a coated braid. So what I've done is I've got about 6 inches there with a split shot, a little bit split back, and some of you will know this quite simply. This is what Julian Candiff calls his multi-rig. As you can see there, that sits on the bottom, a little bit of movement, full turn, it goes all the way around, full movement. Basically watching YouTube, come across one of Julian Candiff's little blogs, started giving it a watch. He spoke about this rig a few years ago now, went to one of the carp shows, asked him about it. He'd done a demonstration tie. I tied one up at home, never used it. A couple of weeks ago, fishing the top lake in the match, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. So I tied it up and I had that cracking 24 pounder on it, and I've just had that 14 pounder on it as well. So absolutely does the business, and all I do with the little bait ring or bait screw is just put a bait on. So just get me pop-ups out that are all stashed away. Specimen carp baits, washed out pink pop-ups. I took them out of the pot they give me because it didn't fit in the bag I got, so I put them in here, but there they are. Literally hold the screw like that, push it on a little bit, and then start screwing, and there you go. That now sits in the water like that. So there is my hook bait. Sorry about the camera focusing in and out. I've not quite set it the adjustments, it keeps focusing on my face. So I've got to try and play around with that a little bit. But yeah, that's my rig. I'm about to go put it back out on the spot and hopefully get another fish. Talk to you guys a little bit later. Right, it's been about 20 minutes since I last spoke to you, and fish number 2, crazy little common. Probably about 7-8 pound maybe, and absolutely ripped off. Just won't give up. Playing it for about 5-6 minutes, and eventually managed to roll it in the net. Here we go, absolutely cracking. So I wouldn't mind catching them like that all night long. Again in the margin rod, absolutely ripped off. That's the rod I've set up for a little bit of fun. little pink pop-ups, load of pellet, load of hemp, scattered boilies. The left hand rod, like I've mentioned, that's for the hopefully the bigger carp. So it could be a case of that might be sitting there all night without a single bleep. But if it does go off, hopefully it's going to be a nice one. But there we go, carp number 2, first night session on the bottom lake at Churchgate. 2 carp, absolutely chuffed. Still, we're waiting for that elusive 20. So I'm going to slip this one back, get the rig sorted out again, get it back out on that mark, get myself back to sleeping bag, watch the water and listening to them geese make a racket. So talk to you guys a little bit later, hopefully with a few more fish on the bank. Well, as you can see, the sun's still out and I've had an absolutely cracking little common again. Obviously not the same one, but that there, it's probably closer to about £10 this one. The sun's out and it's making a few shadows. But look at that, a proper little bar of gold. Again on the margin rod, little pink pop-up doing the business. Just keep topping it up with pellets, hemp and boilies, and so far it's rewarded me lovely. Same rig, same hook, probably going to change the hook over now, but what an absolutely cracking little bar of gold, as you can see there. So I reckon it's probably closer to about £10 this one. Not too bad. As you can see, the sun's just going behind a cloud now, so I'm just darkening up a little bit. But yeah, I could quite happily catch fish like this all night. So what I'm going to do, slip this one back, get the rod back out there again, get myself tucked back in the sleeping bag, and just wait for that alarm to rip off. Talk to you guys a little bit later. Right, it's up half 6 in the morning and the left hand rod that's done nothing since I've been here absolutely just ripped off, and we've got this absolutely crazy common, probably about £15 maybe, and yeah, absolutely ripped off. Just one toner, got me out of bed, woke me up, and I'm glad it did, because it's up past 6 and I should have been pretty much packed up by now in the car on my way home. So gonna get a couple of photos of it, get it back in the water, get the gear picked up, packed up, get home, and get myself sorted for that horrible day. But yeah, first night over at Churchgate Bottom Lake, 5 carp, 3 of them or 4 of them double figures at least, and 3 of them that were pretty much small, just under double figures. So all in all, 5 fish definitely worth photographing, and 2 fish that were little pasties. Oh dear, absolutely shattered. So yeah, cracking fish. Let's get some photos and slip her back.